kickoff of the Ars Electronica Futurelab 25th Anniversary Series. My name is Andreas Hirsch. I'm glad to be your host today. It may be hard to believe, but the Futurelab turns 25 this year. Despite the interesting times we are currently experiencing, this anniversary will be celebrated for the major part of the year. Today, two members of the Futurelab will give you a sneak preview of what to expect over the next couple of months. Susanne Kiesenhofer, most recent member of the Futurelab team who joined in 2020. And Horst Hörtner, co-founder of the Futurelab in 1996 and its managing director for, meanwhile, a quarter of a century.
Looking at the Futurelab from the outside, it is not always entirely clear what the Futurelab really is and what the team here is actually working on. So with a total of 7 home delivery episodes and a number of further anniversary activities, we strive to give you an unprecedented insight into the work of the Futurelab.
The Futurelab is the atelier laboratory of the Ars Electronica, the R&D department, the think tank of the Ars Electronica. And the team members are, situated in between art and science, but always with the thought in the back of our minds on what is the meaning, the impact towards our society when we are trying to conceptualize projects. We are different from research institutions. We are not faculty-based. We are very much holding research questions that can be answered or contributed to by many different disciplines, and many of those disciplines are incorporated in the team of the Ars Electronica Futurelab. And we're doing this with a very open mindset that we call the art thinking.
Before the Futurelab became the Futurelab in 1996, it was incubated inside the gradually growing organization of Ars Electronica. Ars Electronica itself began in 1979 as a festival co-founded by Hannes Leopoldseder, who had the vision to create an organization at the nexus of art, technology, and society.
The computer musician from Linz, Hubert Bognemeyer, and I were basically working from two ideas when we initiated the Ars Electronica. One was the idea of a forum for experts from the fields of electronics, starting from computer music, but also expanding into other fields. We wanted to focus on the raw material of the future, electronics and microelectronics. The second idea was to get people involved, to go beyond the world of experts, following the motto "Culture for Everyone," which was the issue of the 70s. This led to the inception of the Cloud of Sound. The Cloud of Sound opened Ars Electronica, tens of thousands of people came, and that was the start of our success.
In the summer of 1995, the media artist Gerfried Stocker was appointed director of the new Ars Electronica Center, which was due to open in September 1996. Hannes Leopoldseder's vision of Ars Electronica now became Gerfried Stocker's vision of a multifaceted organization, preparing and enabling the rest of us to shape the future. Gerfried Stocker also had a vision for the Futurelab as the missing fourth part in that ecosystem of Ars Electronica.
Well, one of the big questions when we look back into the history of Ars Electronica is always, how did things come together? How was this very interesting mixture actually conceived and developed? Because from the very, very beginning, in 1979, there was this great and exciting recipe of bringing art, technology and society together. But at the same time, this meant in a certain way that Ars Electronica was always something like a bastard, something sitting between the chairs of these very well-established territories. But this always turned out to be one of the great opportunities, not just to sit on somebody else's chair, but to create your own territory and decide on your own, as a festival, as a as a center, and all the things that we developed, how you want to fill out this very interesting position? How do you want to define it? How do you want to create it? And in 95, 96, when we got this exciting challenge on our table to realize a very visionary idea of a completely new Ars Electronica Center being something like a museum of the future, a new educational institution at the same time, we had, of course, to face a very, very big problem. The ideas in this concept book were wonderful. There were hundreds of pages full with visionary ideas, but of course, technology was far away from being able really to deliver, as of course were also the budgets that we had available. So the only chance for us to really realize and create something new was putting together a team of people, hardware experts, software experts, hackers, computer scientists, artists, designers, architects, who were crazy enough to take up this challenge of creating a fully interactive exhibition center that would be working every day for visitors to come and go. And maybe nowadays it's hard to really comprehend the very big challenge that we had at this time, because computer technology compared to what we are used to today was very, very poor actually. I mean, the largest screen that you could get was a 21-inch cathode tube monitor. Computers, when you wanted to make really comprehensive computer graphics, virtual reality, you needed super expensive equipment, the silicon graphics machines. You needed, as an artist, the support of a research institute, of a university. You couldn't actually really do it on your own. But of course, there was also another very interesting group and movement in the field of media artists, and these were the people who just didn't care about fancy high-resolution computer graphics, who worked with Amigas, with Ataris, or even with lots of self-made hardware and technology. And so this was actually, for us, the interesting thing, to establish a team that would be able to create this new Ars Electronica Center, and doing so, we automatically, without yet having really a strategic plan for the future, we created what would become the Ars Electronica Futurelab and would become one of the most important pillars of this family of Ars Electronica activities, or the Ars Electronica universe, or the Ars Electronica biotope. There are so many nice words that we have for this. And one thing was also very clear at this point, that we needed a Futurelab to really fulfill this core mission of Ars Electronica, because if the center shouldn't be just a place for presentation, showcasing, we would need facilities that helped, in particular, artists to create new works. As I said, it was extremely difficult at this time to get hold of the type of machines that were really cool to make, for example, comprehensive computer graphics. So in this context of having a wonderful new building, an exciting team of young people, very inspired, working together, and a lot of technology, because don't forget, we had the cave. It was the first cave outside of the United States, and the first cave virtual reality environment that was actually available on a permanent basis for our audiences. So we had all the ingredients, and basically things just fell into place, and this is how the Futurelab started. What started as an idea to be a dedicated support structure for new exhibitions in the center, but also for the support of producing artists, to get more artists into the realm of possibilities to really work with advanced new technologies, very soon turned out to be of very high attractivity also for companies, for the local industry here. And we saw that now really Ars Electronica Futurelab occupied this vacancy in the universe of Ars Electronica until then. Because we had perfectly our instrument for art, media art, digital art. This was the festival. It was very well established already at this time. We had the pre-Ars Electronica that at this time, as it is right now, was the largest and most important award for digital arts. We had the new center as an educational didactic institution that was in particular targeting the society part of art, technology and society. And with the Futurelab, we didn't only have the place where technology, science, and research was happening. We also got the infrastructure and the position to reach out also for research partners, for commercial clients in the field of local companies, but also very soon international companies. And so when you look at this family of Ars Electronica, I think it's obvious that without the Futurelab, it wouldn't have been complete. And this was at the same time, I think, a very strong basis for the great success story that Ars Electronica took since '96 when we opened the first center, then 2009, the second, the expansion that we have right now. Because all the very advanced and sometimes really risky and adventurous installations that we're showing here. Again, I have to come back, think of having a cave, not just as a research tool in your university, but on a permanent basis. Every day visitors coming in and going out, hundreds, thousands of visitors. And you have a super experimental prototypic platform. The only way to achieve a successful presentation of this technology was, of course, to have the experts in our house. But at the same time, using the technology and the experts to create new stuff, to invite artists in residence, but also to work with the industry, was of course a very important part to create this new and comprehensive image of Ars Electronica. So well, without any further ado, that's the short story of the Ars Electronica Futurelab. As all the other things in Ars Electronica, it was a very clear strategic plan. Already 25 years ago, we exactly knew what we wanted to achieve. And thanks to Horst Hörtner and his wonderful team that he put together, actually we are really at the point where we can say the Futurelab is a major pillar of Ars Electronica.
The Ars Electronica Center plays an important part in the making of the Futurelab and its history since then. Up to this day, the Ars Electronica Center is prominently featuring installations developed by the Futurelab. So you've probably seen some of the Futurelab's work without even recognizing it as such. The center will also be the venue for an exhibition about the Futurelab, opening during the festival in September of this year. This exhibition will combine some of the legendary classics from the 25 years with some of the most recent work coming out of the lab.
And that's actually the first time that the Ars Electronica Futurelab speaks about itself in an exhibition that it is doing. And we are very looking forward to that opportunity. We're less speaking about the history of the Futurelab and more try to speak about the mindset of the Futurelab and of the team. And we're doing this in a hybrid format. So an on-site visitor can meet online visitors and they can interact on stage. It's a very, very important experience, as I think, that we need to focus on that hybrid appearance of different settings. We have been going through that period now where video conferencing was everywhere, and we were actually suffering from social distancing. And what we try to look at and play around and experiment with is social proximity. Allow on a safe remote connection, but become social close again to each other. And that's going to be one of the experiences in the exhibition.
Our stage today is the setting for numerous virtual environments, the Deep Space 8K at the Ars Electronica Center here in Linz. But the Deep Space can also serve as a studio with interesting capabilities, which will enhance the home delivery episodes, bringing you closer to the Futurelab's activities. Roland Haring, the technical director of the Futurelab, had been overseeing the creation and the continuous development of the Deep Space and its immersive experiences presented here. Roland Haring will also be your host for the first episode of the Home Delivery series, covering the topic of virtual realities.
Virtual reality belongs to the Futurelab since the very beginning. In 1996, they installed the so-called cave at the Ars Electronica Center. The full name of that installation was Cave Automatic Virtual Environment. So really, the Futurelab had a strong element of virtual reality in its DNA. The cave had 3 by 3 by 3 meters, so it was really small compared to the 16 by 9 meters huge main screen of the deep space. But it was revolutionary at its time.
Not only as its time, I think. In 1996, already the cave provided an experience where, not like others, as with the high data HMDs, the head-mounted displays, you are alone in the virtual environment. Whereas in the cave, you, with the stereo glasses, can see your environment. You can see the people that join the same application at the same time. You could collaborate with others, and all of them see the same virtual environment that you can interact with. And this was like mind-blowing in 1996 and still is. That gives us this opportunity also here in the deep space to have this co-immersion, to have this immersive environment where you still see your own body in this virtual environment, giving you even a dimension on how big that virtual chair might be as you see it together with your own body. This collaboration, this participative environment that we have been created is a very, very important research topic since then and still is.
The deep space opened in 2009 together with the expansion of the Ars Electronica Center and was upgraded to state-of-the-art projection technology in 2015, becoming today's Deep Space 8K. This year, we will use the deep space as an access point to the Futurelab exhibition, and this will allow visitors a blended realities experience from within the deep space as well as from within the exhibition. The Deep Space 8K also serves as a learning environment and as a laboratory to experiment with new forms of virtualization, and also another area of the Futurelab research, which is the interaction between humans and autonomous machines.
Over the years, the Futurelab has cooperated with different car manufacturers. We all remember the cooperation with Daimler regarding the Mercedes F015 luxury in motion concept car. The actual topic for the Futurelab was, of course, not a shiny futuristic luxury car. For them, it was about the interaction of humans with such an autonomous machine. It was about building trustful relationships with machines.
The Futurelab embraced the world of swarms when developing the Spaxels, swarms of airborne vehicles. They premiered at the Ars Electronica Klangwolke in 2012 here in Linz, and shows with the Spaxels around the world were a spectacular outcome of that work. In order to work with this large number of drones in flight, the Futurelab then developed a shared operating system called Swarm OS, which can also work with any other kind of autonomous vehicles, like ground bots.
And we saw those swarms, the Spaxels, as being an art project, of course, a canvas for art, a new canvas, a new layer of artistic expression, if you want to say so. But at the same time, for us, it was very important to understand the fact that we will, in our future, society in the future, will not meet autonomous vehicles or autonomous machines as a singular identity. It will much more be a swarm of intelligence surrounding us. And how can we work with that kind of intelligence, with that kind of intelligent beings surrounding us? We are not longer the only intelligent being on Earth. We are actually getting a partner that is as intelligent, at least as informed as we are.
In cooperation with two major Japanese technology companies, the Futurelab is pushing to understand swarms even further. Together with telecommunications giant NTT, projects involving ground display bots are unfolding, while with tablet manufacturer Wacom, aspects of Future Inc. are explored. And we will see more of this during this anniversary year, So keep your eyes open for our swarm performances during the festival in September.
Artificial intelligence has been around for quite a while. Legends of AI research were guests at Ars Electronica, like for instance Marvin Minsky in 1990. With advances in deep learning, AI made a major step forward over the last couple of years. Today, AI is employed in many applications we use each day without noticing.
The Ars Electronica Futurelab played a key part in developing the installations for the exhibition Understanding AI, which opened here at the Ars Electronica Center in 2019. This exhibition allows the visitors to form their own opinions about the potentials and dangers of AI based on facts and understanding and the opportunity to watch AI systems at work.
And at the Futurelab, we try to not only work on the AI system per se, we're trying to incorporate a good understanding of the collaboration between the humans and the artificial intelligence systems. So we are no longer asking who is better in what field, the human or the AI. It's much more about cooperation and collaboration at the very end. Technology has developed quite far, and this is not only a challenge on the technological side, as machines have already started from becoming automats and moving towards autonomy now. The challenge that we see is much more also directed to our society. Will we be able and capable of a fair and meaningful collaboration with those artificial intelligence systems?
One area where artificial intelligence shows its unsettling potential is, of course, the area of creativity. As writers, visual artists, or composers, we find ourselves confronted with texts or pictures or music created by an AI. Those are results that leave you puzzling quite often about whether they are originating from a human mind or an artificial intelligence. Maybe a kind of cultural Turing test would be useful.
At the beginning of this home delivery session, you heard a short piece of music, which we are proud to present to you as a piece of the title tune for our Futurelab anniversary activities. This tune, as you may have already guessed, was created by an AI system called Ricerca.
And Ricerca was developed by Ali Nikrang, one of our key researchers at the Futurelab, focusing on the research question, can machines create? Ali is actually incorporating in an educational background both worlds in that topic. He's a composer as well as he is a computer scientist. And the tune that you've heard at the beginning that has been played is not played only on a Bösendorfer Zeus, but actually by a Bösendorfer Zeus. And this tune expands into a much larger concert that we are planning for during this year's Ars Electronica Festival, where Ali will present the full version of his co-composition with Ricerca.
Such hybrid experts like Ali Nikrang have been a defining element of the Futurelab all along its history. It was part of that practice of art and science. At first, there were transdisciplinary teams composed from programmers and artists. And then this morphed into the Futurelab, involving more and more individuals with roots in both science and technology, and at the same time art and design. Susanne, Kiesenhofer, skilled in design as well as in coding, belongs to this group.
Over the years, more and more partners from academia and industry have learned to cherish the innovative power of the Future Lab, as well as felt the inspiring impact of the Future Lab's mindset and work style on their own development work.
Reflecting on our own way of working led to the birth of what we call art thinking now, which was developed mainly by Hideaki Ogawa, a co-director at the Ars Electronica Futurelab, who is also head of Ars Electronica Japan, by the way. He has managed to transform this transdisciplinary, cross-disciplinary approach of the laboratory that is there for 25 years now, and bring it into a format that also other partners from universities, industries, high school, art schools could participate, could use and make a productive use out of it. We are actually, due to that success of that format that we have created here, now working on a curriculum to further extend this, how can I say, exploitation, the usability, the idea of art thinking, and distribute it to others. For our anniversary, we felt to create a book, of course, and it's the first book about the Future Lab, actually, since those 25 years. So we've involved Andreas Hirsch, who had written a brief history of the Ars Electronica titled Creating the Future.
Ars Electronica has this wonderful culture of complementing all the digital content, the virtual environments, the online formats, also with printed books. Catalogs for each annual festival, books about the winners of the Prix Ars Electronica, and books marking the milestone anniversaries. A book, for me, always was and is still, even although there's a massively changed media environment, it's still a machine to think with. This is what we strive to achieve with this book about the Future Lab. We want to make it a unique reading experience. Of course, it will complement all the different activities, channels, and platforms of this 25th anniversary, among which you will find virtual, as well as the most tangible and immersive experiences.
The coming 7 episodes of the home delivery series will make you acquainted with key members from the Future Lab team and the key topics of the Future Lab's work. Those topics summarize the main areas of research of the Future Lab and put them in context with different technologies and their impact on our lives.
In those 7 episodes that are coming, we will go through all the topics that are relevant in the last 25 years for the Ars Electronica Futurelab, and some of them we already mentioned in this preview, so to say. The swarms, autonomous machines, virtual reality, the entire range of converged reality, poetic systems, talking about projects in public spaces, talking about projects on music visualizations as well. And of course, artificial intelligence and the collaboration with robots, with machines, as I said, robot interaction as general, etc., etc. There's so many things to be addressed during that episodes, and we are ending in art thinking, the mindset or methodology we've been spoken about previously already several times, is going to be introduced during the festival in the session, the home delivery session, the 7th episode.
An online experience, which we are currently in the process of creating, will cover the main topics complementary to the book and expand the contents with more interesting material from different types of media that our archives have to offer. And making use of this medium, it allows for more intuitive, non-linear ways to navigate and dive even deeper into the kaleidoscopic landscape of what the Future Lab has been dealing with.
So this really, we're trying to go full circle, so to say, with all the different channels that we are playing with. We will have the exhibition, we will have the book, we will have the online version to experience. We will have a deep space application. We will have, final and most important, several events throughout the festival in September this year. So a full program covering all the different aspects of our productivity.
And what is the next step now? Episode 1 of the Future Lab 25th Anniversary Series will be streamed on April 6, 2021. It will be devoted to questions around virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, converged reality. All those realities presented by Roland Haring. Episode 1, that special, will use the unique environment of the Deep Space 8K as a state-of-the-art virtual stage, and thus turn the topic of virtuality itself into an experience. Thank you now for being with us today. We are really looking forward to having you join again in those various activities of the Future Lab 25 years anniversary. Thank you.
Thank you, Susanne. Thank you, Andreas. And thank you. Hope to see you soon again.